So I guess where I'm confused, though, is in the scenario I provided, where a woman, a company, and perhaps the owners of the company was a woman or a group of women, and they refused to hire men because they're men, you did seem to concede that would be sexist.
And then I changed my mind.
Oh, so it wouldn't be sexist. It would be what?
Well, I think it depends on the context. Like I said before, if it's a group for women, to advocate for women,
would it be?
Then yes, you can exclude anyone who is not a woman. But if it's a group like where there are a mix of some, but maybe the majority are women, and you're excluding a man based on the grounds that he's a man, then yes, you're being prejudiced towards a man.
Sexist.
Prejudice.
Sexist.
Okay.
Okay. Well, but the exact same scenario, but it's being done to women would be prejudice or sexist?
Sexist.
So is your definition of sexism prejudice plus power?
Yes.
And you're saying men hold the power, women don't?
Yes.
Okay. And so wouldn't it be the case that, let's say I'm a male, and I came out of poverty, and I'm applying to be a janitor at a woman's company, and the board is made up predominantly of women. The owner's a woman. She's a billionaire. And I'm applying for a $30,000 a year job at this company. She's a billionaire, mind you.
Touch My Blade donated $200. The young lady's arguments are very flawed, and that is why she almost broke down and needed a break for very basic questions. Just take the L as everyone else sees the L you already took.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Touch My Blade. In the scenario, the formerly impoverished janitorial worker applying for a company that's predominantly owned by women, the owner of the company she's a female billionaire. She refuses to hire this male janitor because he's male. Is this sexist?
Prejudice.
Hold on. Who holds the power?
She was
In
talking about
this,
historical-
yes, I'm saying in the grand scheme of things.
No. It's not in the grand scheme of things. It's a specific example.
In a world of...
In a world
matter.
where a woman's a billionaire.
Where the one woman is a billionaire. In a world full of men that hold power.
Okay.
You have to look at the context of things. You can't just look at one hypothetical situation.
So does she not have power?
She does.
So she has power plus prejudice equals racism. You conceded she has power. Hold on. Do you concede she has power?
Yes.
Do you concede that she's prejudiced?
Yes.
It meets your own definition of racism.
Power in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, wow. Okay, now, was it shifting the goalposts here a little bit? I thought it was just prejudice plus power.
Power in the grand scheme of things. Sorry, I didn't clarify that
This
earlier.
is even a new definition. This is a Super Saiyan level 3.
No, I just didn't clarify earlier because that wasn't asked.
I've never even heard that. This is new. This is
You've
new
never
feminist
heard that things
rhetoric.
need to be taken into context and the historical significance of things need to be considered?
Many times.
Yeah, too.
Many times.
Am I, bro? I'm a little confused, man. You bamboozled me with this one. Hold on. In the grand scheme of things, wait. Let's pull up the two images I sent you, Austin.
They're both the same link.
Oh, wait, really? Hold on.
So you don't have the time.
Hold on.
What time is
I'll
it?
send you. There it is. Okay, milquetoast pushback.
All right, so just power through for another hour.
Let me try this one. Okay, that should be another one. Can you get the other one? That should be a different one. Oh, can one of you guys take your seat?
That's not your fault.
Anissa, can you take the seat?
I spent $1,000 to come here.
What's that?
Said I spent like $1,000 to come here, and you're sitting there just talking to her without talking to other people.
And we've been talking to everybody.
We've been talking to
Including
everybody.
you.
We spent 30 minutes on you.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry that with your
Bullshit.
TikTok brain, you haven't received the appropriate amount of attention that would keep you adequately entertained.
She's sitting here saying that you guys are talking to her too much, and that she wants.
She's
to hear
trying to
other
weasel
women.
out of the argument.
No, I'm confident in my stance. And I said we can keep going, but I think the whole point of a group debate is to hear everyone's perspectives, and it's just turned into this one-on-one.
Well, we'll pull up these images and then I'll get right to you.
I
So,
don't care if you talk to me.
the world according to a feminist, oppressed. Just curious, do you agree? So the women over there who are probably upper middle class or whatever, are they oppressed? And the homeless male, he's
dumb.
privileged? How's it dumb? The majority of men are homeless. Is that dumb?
That's like a whole different layer. Homelessness. That's like a whole nother. More men experience that than women.
So this was the argument I was going to make earlier. So you said it's not a comparison game between men and women. Actually, that is the genesis of feminism. Women have it worse in comparison to men. But my actual counter is that not only today, but even historically, men have been more oppressed than women, and men have had it worse historically compared to women.
Is that why more men are in government than women and get to make the decisions about what happens?
Apex fallacy. That's very cool. So we can talk about, the small proportion of men who occupy these sort of higher positions of power and who perhaps have some better life outcomes. Although I would argue the vast majority of men have worse life outcomes on average than women.
Why?
Well, they die earlier. That's one.
I mean, that's
But not
That's
only
just
that.
what?
That's just like natural. I mean, how is that?
And
All the victims of war are men, the ones who die in war, most dangerous jobs.
Only men were being drafted, women weren't allowed.
Well, I mean, if we were just going to go move off of what's natural,
Who created
then
that system?
that's childbirth too. Childbirth's natural, and that used to be one of the number one killers of women. And it seems like we've unnaturally extended their lives, right? So I mean, I wouldn't appeal to nature. Like, I understand what you're saying. I get it. My rebuttal to this is just always simple. It's like, I just reject your definition of what is racism and sexism.
Yeah, I mean, those are the grounds we disagree on. I don't think there's a common ground for that.
Yeah, I don't think
I agree with
that
that.
prejudice plus power means anything. It's just like this kind of bizarre, or non-introspective but historical perspective, but only from standpoint, which is the theory that you learned, right? Standpoint. This is from the stand of women, the point of view from women, and that's where intersectionality comes from. And it's like, just reject it. I just don't think that. I think if I claim that racism is you just don't like a person based on the color of their skin, you could never give me a reason why that wasn't valid other than you just didn't like that reason, right?
Yeah, no, I just think we disagree on the foundational grounds of where the argument would even go.
Can you guys close the doors, by the way? So I'm actually curious to hear, and if the other panelists want to weigh in, can any of you name a greater gender grievance than, well, actually, first I need to ask a couple questions. What percentage of military casualties, what's the gender breakdown there?
What?
Mainly men. Mainly men.
99 historically.
I don't know the number, but high.
So, can any of you name a bigger gendered grievance than forced military conscription?
Forced sex work in third world countries.
Forced sex work in
Forced marriage for children.
So,
Yeah,
do
sex
any?
trafficking.
Okay, so how many people do you think there's more women who have been involved in forced work
About
than there
marriage.
have been men who have been essentially, and it's not even just conscription, it's the gendered expectation on men that men ought to be the protectors of nations. Now, I don't necessarily object to this, but we can't ignore the fact that this is a gendered expectation. So even men who volunteer for the military, there is some degree of force there that's being applied. But
And why is that? Why is that?
Yeah, who decided that more men were going to fight than women?
Yeah.
Men.
Tiny strata of powerful people.
so,
Wait, repeat that. Sorry.
A tiny strata of powerful people.
wait, so just to be clear, so how many women do you think have been forced into sex work?
Well, there's sex
I'm not
trafficking.
Do you think it's
Yeah.
more than the amount of men that have been forced into a military role?
No.
No, but who forced them into that role?
Yeah, right.
Okay, that doesn't really even address the argument.
It does. It's directly
No.
addressing the argument.
Nope.
You're saying that men forced them into it?
You're saying, but the
It was
men
created
though.
by men.
No.
A system created. Well, what if I told you that women leaders, women monarchs, women queens, more likely to engage in warfare than their male counterparts.
Repeat it?
Male
Sorry.
queens were more likely to
They're female
wage
queens.
war. Or, excuse me. Female
into war?
queens were more likely.
Hail and well met. Lol Paladins donated $200.02. Brian, when will you learn? The definition of sexism is actually man bad, woman good. The definition of racism is white bad, brown good. Black best. PS love line figured out Collins 30 years ago.
Even if it, first off, it's not clear to me if it's men or people with power or the elite.
That made it?
Well, you're saying, okay, all those men that had to go to war, well, who was it? Even if it was men,
Yeah.
is it because they're men or because they had power?
The men in power made it so that men would go to war because they saw
Right,
women
but
as weak.
there's been queens who have had power. So is it because they're men or is it because they have power?
Because that's the social norm.
What percentage of men have power?
I don't know.
What percentage of men throughout history
Yeah.
had the power to send other men to war?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's a very small amount, though, right? Yeah.
Okay. So does it have more to do with people who hold power or the fact that they're men?
People that hold power, because they view men as stronger. So they're going to send men to war, say women are too weak to fight.
Right, but
more men are going to die.
This would defeat your claim of your sort of fallacious rebuttal to, well, I'm going to disregard your claims about, well, here are how men are more oppressed by just sort of diverting to.
Living underscore donated $200. C. Andrew wins just BC, he's hot. Brian only wins BC, he waterboards. Sexism sounds worse than prejudice, but it's the same thing. They want to be the only ones who can use the term against men.